Tonight on DC News Now, new scrutiny over DC crime numbers, why the feds are now investigating.
Documenting the growing federal officers and troops on DC streets.
But I just want people to see exactly what someone like myself who would walk around these streets every day sees.
The man on his daily runs showing people what he's seeing.
After the last few days into those 70s, while those 80s returning tomorrow, even some sunshine and the potential for some thunderstorms.
Tracking Hurricane Erin, the growing storm surge along the East Coast, limiting access to many beaches.
New plans to power Northern Virginia data centers, sparking controversy.
How frustrated? I'm thinking I'm losing my house.
Neighbors say they're forced to fight.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Right now, National Guard troops from West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Louisiana, they have started to arrive in the district. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for DC News Now at 9. I'm Susan Tran.
And I'm Chris Flanagan. That news comes as the presence of DC National Guardsmen has already become more apparent. The National Guard, seen here patrolling the L'Enfant Metro Station. Now, we're told that is one of 10 stations they'll be patrolling. Others include Foggy Bottom, Gallery Place, and Metro Center. And the Justice Department now accusing DC police of reporting bogus crime stats.
The Trump administration declaring a crime emergency last week in order to take over the police department at a time when DC police have been saying that violent crime has been at a 30-year low. DC News Now's Mark Hall joining us now with a look at these numbers. Mark.
Well, Susan, Chris, it's not clear what data was possibly manipulated to add to it. The DC Police Union says that the crime stats that DC police are actually reporting don't match up with what police officers are seeing on the streets. Well, according to the Associated Press, the Justice Department opened the investigation to determine if D.C. police falsified data to show that crime was already down before the takeover. It comes as the president says that things are actually now getting better. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying that since last Monday, federal agents have arrested 465 people and seized 68 guns, and says that just last night there were nearly 2,000 officers and troops on the streets, and they arrested 52 people. The mayor's office declined to comment on the matter. As for the numbers, the latest crime numbers, that is what we're really talking about, and according to DC Police Department, murders are down 11% from this time last year, and there has been 58 reports of sexual abuse compared to 112 this time last year. And assaults with dangerous weapons is down 19%. Robbery also down 30%. And overall, violent crime is down 27%. This will likely certainly become a tug of war between the district and the Justice Department. And we're going to continue to follow this story. Chris and Susan.
Okay, Mark Hall live here in studio. Mark, thanks. As our team of reporters has been on the ground covering the federal takeover, so have many social media influencers. They give us really a unique look at what life is like in D.C.
DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joining us live at Union Station, where National Guard troops have been stationed. You can see the Humvee behind you, Daniel. And you talked to this runner who's kind of giving us this really unique perspective as he takes on the streets. And what is he telling you of all the things he's been seeing?
Well, Susan, he has been running through all four quadrants. He actually just ran the perimeter of D.C., and he says things like this don't belong in D.C. and are unnecessary, but he also wants people to draw their own conclusions from his videos.
Rob Perez has been running in D.C. for 8 years, and he takes his social media followers along for the ride.
We're about to go on a run here through D.C. and show you what it looks like now that the Trump administration has sent in the National Guard and federalized our police force.
Documenting what he's seen over the past week has reached more than 15.5 million people across Instagram and TikTok.
Just simply want to show you what it looks like and obviously draw your own conclusions. I'm not here to necessarily put out a narrative.
The comments and messages he gets are mixed.
I think one of the most common ones is people are saying that it looks like, oh wow, it's clearly crime has been cleaned up overnight because now I'm able to run at night, which is completely a falsehood. We got about 10 agents, by the way, they're just ignoring the traffic lights.
By taking his followers on a run, he's opening conversations with people who don't live in D.C., especially people sending their kids to college.
I've actually gotten a lot of DMs from a lot of parents who are saying, hey, is it safe? Do I need to pull my kid out of school? What is going on with that? We're supposed to be there for freshman welcome week or whatever it is. And the answer is no, it's still safe.
Running through the entire district at all hours of the day, he says he has perspective.
Is DC a perfect city and is it crime-free? Absolutely not. I think that's pretty obvious of any major city. But what comes with that is not a need to call the National Guard in or a bunch of federal agents who, from my knowledge, are actually having a lot of communication issues.
So you can see here at Union Station, there are still National Guard troops here being outside here and just making their presence known. But as Perez said, you know, a lot of these guys are just really standing around and they don't seem to be doing much. So he hopes his videos, again, will continue to reach more people so they can see what's going on here in the district. We're live at Union Station. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
All right, an interesting perspective there, Daniel. Thank you. And you can see our full continuing coverage of the federal takeover of D.C. police on our website. You'll also find the many reactions to the president's crackdown, with D.C. families and businesses are experiencing, and a full breakdown of the violent crime statistics that police say is at a 30-year low. Just go to DCNewsNow.com and click on the D.C. Takeover tab. Developing tonight, President Trump calling for a review of all Smithsonian museums for their exhibits on history that he doesn't apparently like.
A posting on social media calling them out of control. He claims the government-run museums are focused too heavily on how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. The president says he wants more about the success of the U.S. and what lies ahead in the future. He goes on to say his attorneys have been telling him to go through the museums and review them similarly to the reviews of the colleges.
All right, let's take a live look outside right now, and this is right towards Ocracoke Harbor there in North Carolina, which is the southernmost part of the Outer Banks. You can't really specifically see in the harbor area right here just how much Erin is becoming a concern on the coastal area. It is now currently a Category 2 storm, and the whole region preparing for possible flooding and major storm surges.
All right, so for more on Hurricane Erin, our chief meteorologist Jackie Layer here. It's been downgraded, and we probably won't feel much of an impact here in D.C.
Yeah,
right?
not much of an impact, but we will be likely seeing that breeze picking up on Thursday as it passes by, still well offshore. But yeah, this is a pretty large system. We're likely not going to be seeing any of the rain associated with it, though. Here's a look at Erin right now as we speak, continuing to churn up over the Atlantic and continue to move its way north-northwest at this point. The latest 8 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center, boasting winds of 105 miles per hour. It will hold that Category 2 strength as it moves its way northward over the course of the next couple of days. So as we look towards Thursday, passing off the coast of the Outer Banks. But like I mentioned, it's a pretty large system. So for the Outer Banks, we're talking about the wind and also some outer rain bands clipping there. And there is also that tropical storm watch that has been extended northward to include parts of, say, the easternmost parts of Maryland. And now, as we look towards the end of the weekend into the weekend, that storm continues to move its way farther out to sea and away from the eastern seaboard, but likely still churning up those seas through the weekend. But some coastal flood alerts to talk about. This goes through at least tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, depending on that alert. But we're talking about that coastal flood warning for Anne Arundel County, especially Annapolis, right around those high tide cycles, could be running a bit higher than normal. And then we're also talking about those coastal flood advisories, and a couple of these run through at least tomorrow afternoon too. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you're in any of those flood prone areas. Satellite radar, a wider view to show you what we're seeing out there right now, though. That cold front farther out towards our west will swing through tomorrow. That's the reason why Erin will head out to sea. But more details on that front, and also a look at towards the rest of that 7-day coming up.
All right, Jackie, thank you. A Maryland family with some desperate pleas for answers. A driver in Prince George's County in a hit-and-run crash and doesn't bother to stop, killing a beloved father on his bike last weekend.
That man's daughter telling DC News Now's Tim Reed her dad was a man with a big heart and a gentle spirit.
Police tell us this is where the fatal hit-and-run happened in this Capitol Heights neighborhood Friday night at 8 o'clock. I spoke to the victim's daughter, who wants the driver responsible for killing her father brought to justice.
Honestly, I do hope that they prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law.
The daughter of Damian Wilson says she wants justice for her dad.
I don't feel like a good person, a person that like we would want as a part of society, would hit somebody and leave them in the street and Like, that's such an irresponsible thing to do.
Police say a driver left the scene after hitting and killing Wilson Friday night. It happened at the intersection of Shell Street and Billings Avenue, not far from his Capitol Heights home. Police believe the suspect was driving a pickup truck.
We are looking for the vehicle. We do believe it is a Ford F-150 Super Crew, blue in color, between the years of 2001 and 2003.
Wilson's daughter, Myasia, remembers her father as a loving, hardworking man who loved to ride his bike.
He was so loving and so caring. Like, he did love his bike.
This family just wants answers.
Like, it's a horrible thing to do, and I can't imagine any decent person would do something like that.
Investigators are asking if anyone has any information about this case to call police. In Capitol Heights, Maryland, Tim Reed, DC News Now.
Meanwhile, in Virginia, 2 boys now suspended from Stonebridge High School in Ashburn.
Following a transgender student who made a recording of the boys in the locker room. The Loudoun County School District investigating and saying that the 2 boys sexually assaulted and discriminated against that student. The boys could be punished with up to a 10-day suspension. Supporters of the boys, they are planning a news conference tomorrow. We did reach out to the Loudoun County school officials, but they have not responded to our request for comment.
Also in Virginia, homeowners in one Loudoun County neighborhood, they're fed up. They don't want massive transmission lines that power data centers in their backyards. DC News Now's Yamari Sase has more on their pushback against Dominion Energy.
Just imagine a transmission line similar to this right in your backyard. That's what some Loudoun families could face with this plan. And many of them say it's too close to home and they don't want it.
Put the high voltage power line so close to the home of my house and all rest of a neighbor's house. I mean, it's crazy.
Vicky, who says she's shocked to learn her backyard is part of a proposed budget for a 165-foot transmission line.
I think we just have to move away because this is not the way we, imagine to open our bed door, all we see is power line.
The project is part of Dominion Energy's plan to deliver more power to data centers in Loudoun County. Now, there are multiple routes being considered. Some actually cut through school zones, and the school district has expressed they oppose that. That's when Loudoun Valley Estates was put on the map as another option known as Route 3A.
They didn't have any open houses for the public to attend prior to that, and it really came as a big surprise.
Hugh's husband even physically mapped out just how much land the power line would take up.
That's where the 185-foot post is going to be.
Neighborhood's lawyer Brian Turner says they've pushed alternatives, including putting the lines underground. But Dominion Energy says based on their research, it's just not possible.
We're just asking Dominion and the data center industry to support mitigating impacts from these transmission lines.
Rob Richardson, an electric transmission consultant for the company, says they prefer other routes that include school zones, but the final decision rests in the hands of the State Corporation Commission.
For a lot of people, it's scary, and we understand that. So we worked very closely with residents to understand their concerns.
A public hearing with the SCC is scheduled for September. Reporting in Loudoun County, I'm Yamari Sase, DC News Now.
Meanwhile, in Maryland, some frightening news. Field of Screams is canceled this year. Organizers say the haunted attraction is closing for renovations. The news, though, not all sour. We're told the Montgomery County staple will return next year.
A spotlight in Maryland for a girls football team, the Montgomery County Girls Flag Football Squad. Take a look. They raised hell during the Commanders preseason matchup last night. And this is the second year for the sport in the school district, joining dozens of other schools in the DMV. The Commanders say they are helping to grow girls flag football as well, hosting clinics and donating uniforms and equipment.